Hello, heroes and sheroes. I met a trucker named Jim outside of Des Moines last year. Jim's been a trucker for over 3 decades, navigating the highways and byways of America. Hard-working guy, been hauling freight for 30 years. Every day he loads and unloads heavy cargo, drives long hours, and ensures timely deliveries. He talked about the open road, the freedom of the job, the endless stretches of highway, the changing landscapes, and the sense of adventure. But his eyes told a different story. Behind the freedom, there's a toll. Jim's struggling to make ends meet. Rising fuel costs, maintenance expenses, and stagnant wages are squeezing his finances. He's driving more hours for less pay than he did 20 years ago. He's not alone. Many truckers face the same challenges, working tirelessly to keep the country moving. Before 1980, trucking was different. It was a good job, a way to support a family. Truckers were respected like blue-collar heroes. They had strong unions that fought for fair wages, good benefits, and safe working conditions. Companies competed for drivers, offering decent pay and pensions. It was a good time to be behind the wheel. Then came 1980, a year that would mark a significant turning point for the trucking industry in the United States. It was the year when the Motor Carrier Act was introduced, a piece of legislation that promised to reshape the landscape of trucking. The government decided to deregulate the trucking industry, aiming to foster a more competitive market. They believed that by removing stringent regulations, it would increase competition and lower prices for consumers. Sounds good, right? However, the reality was far from the optimistic projections, especially for truckers like Jim, who found themselves struggling to keep up. The new law flooded the market with a plethora of new trucking companies, each vying for a piece of the pie. Many of these companies, in their bid to stay competitive, cut corners on safety and wages, leading to a host of new problems for the industry. Truckers began to protest, demanding better working conditions and fair wages. But the road ahead was fraught with challenges. The deregulation, intended to bring prosperity, instead brought turmoil and hardship for many in the trucking community. This created a race to the bottom, where trucking companies competed fiercely to cut costs. Truckers had to work longer hours for less pay. Their unions lost power and benefits were cut. The once stable and respected profession of trucking became a grueling and thankless job. Drivers found themselves on the road for days, sometimes weeks, with little rest and minimal compensation. The pressure to meet tight deadlines and the constant threat of job loss loomed over them. The job became more demanding and less rewarding. Stress levels soared as truckers navigated difficult conditions, from harsh weather to congested highways. The physical and mental toll was immense, leading to a higher incidence of health issues among drivers. Many felt isolated and unsupported, far from their families and communities. Jim and thousands of truckers like him are paying the price for deregulation. The promises of a more efficient and competitive industry have not materialized for the workers on the ground. Instead, they face a harsh reality where their hard work is undervalued and their quality of life has diminished. The open road is still there, but the doors of opportunity are closing. Small trucking businesses are shutting down, unable to compete with larger corporations. The dream of independence and the freedom of the open road is fading for many. The industry is at a crossroads, and the future looks uncertain. We need to ask ourselves, was this the right choice? The impact of deregulation on the trucking industry has been profound, affecting not just the truckers, but their families and communities. It's time to reflect on the decisions made and consider the human cost of these policies. How can we make trucking a good job again? Solutions must be found to restore dignity and fairness to the profession. This means better working conditions, fair pay, and support for truckers. By coming together, we can create a future where trucking is once again a respected and rewarding career. Stay safe, drivers. Coffee up, hammer down.